Let's clear up the biggest misconception in cryptocurrency, the one-on-one correlation between XRP and Ripple. A lot of people think that XRP is directly correlated to Ripple and it derives most of its value from Ripple. But here, in fact, is the most confusing part. And here is where a lot of people get things wrong as well. So let's start with understanding the basic first. Most beginners think that XRP derives its complete value from Ripple. In the last cycle, when Ripple got sued, XRP prices plummeted and never recovered for years to come. And here, most of the beginners got it wrong. They related XRP one-on-one with Ripple. When Ripple got sued, they thought that XRP is in trouble. But here's the key point. XRP and Ripple are two distinct entities which are related in some form and factor but are not completely dependent on each other. In fundamental, Ripple Labs is a company and XRP is a cryptocurrency using XRP ledger as its blockchain. The complete XRP ledger is independent of Ripple activities and they are handled by individual operators or validators, and the transaction don't need Ripple's intervention all the time. So technically, XRP doesn't completely depend on Ripple to exist. But here where it gets nuanced, and this is what most of the beginners miss entering into the crypto market. Even though XRP is independent from Ripple on technical levels, it still derives its value from the Ripple Labs. Why? Because Ripple is the company which is building products on top of XRP ledger. Let's talk about the most important product that Ripple uses, XRP, the on-demand liquidity. This is the most important utility of XRP. Here's how it works in simple terms. So let's assume that one bank wants to transfer money from one account to overseas account. This can only be done if the bank has accounts or pre-funded accounts in both the countries. But with XRP ledgers, on-demand liquidity, banks can use XRP as a bridge currency and transact money without tying their capital in both the countries. Instead, they convert their money into XRP, send XRP across the network in seconds, and convert it into destination currency. Here, XRP acts as a bridge currency where XRP is held for a few seconds. That's the core use case of XRP. Now, here's the important question. Can Ripple operate without XRP? And the answer is yes. Ripple has various other products such as Ripple Payment System, On-Demand Liquidity, XRP Ledger, Custody, Liquidity Hub, and CBDC platform. In this product, XRP is only mandatory for on-demand liquidity. Other products such as Ripple Payments and Liquidity Hub has an option to use XRP, but it's not mandatory to use. Whereas other Ripple products don't use XRP as their core. But ODL, on-demand liquidity, uses XRP at its core. And this is where XRP extracts most of its value from. So if XRP's on-demand liquidity doesn't grow, Ripple can survive without XRP, but the vice versa is not true. So let's connect back to the old statement. If you don't understand Ripple, you don't understand XRP. This is true not because they are the same, because Ripple is the one that drives adoption, drives market perception, and builds real-world use case for XRP. Even though XRP is decentralized in design, it still derives its value from Ripple's execution. Here's a clean way to think about it. XRP is an asset. XRP Ledger is the network connecting those assets. And Ripple is the company which builds on top of XRP Ledger. They are connected but not identical. So if you ignore Ripple, you may miss the real-world side adoption of XRP. If you ignore XRP, you miss the core utility of Ripple's most important product. You need both pieces to understand the whole picture. But if you're planning to jump into XRP, here are some things that you need to take into consideration before investing in it. XRP is not perfect. It has its limitations, such as limited number of decentralized validation nodes, a lopsided tokenomics in the favor of Ripple. There's always adoption risk in XRP if bank avoids using XRP on-demand liquidity. And fourth is obviously competition, because there are a lot of altcoins doing the same thing that XRP is trying to achieve. So it's not competing in vacuum. It has competitions which are performing way better than it. The fifth and the most critical risk is volatility and narrative risk due to its ties to Ripple. So if you want to be an investor in XRP, you need to have this consideration, because if you don't, you are basically gambling. In last cycle in 2021-22, I invested in XRP heavily and it actually paid off in this cycle. But this is not true every time. Before entering the market, you need to understand the risks involved in investing in XRP. You need to be objective in your decisions, and that's how you survive in this market.